Hi and welcome. I made already a video about this tool set by Unior. I'll make that video, put it in the video's description, and make it pop up in your top right hand corner if I don't forget when I upload this. I've been using this tool for a couple of years and I did notice a problem. It's a design flaw in my opinion, and I figured out how to fix it. So if you're planning to buy this tool, or if you have this tool, it would probably be a good idea to look at this video. And for Unior company, this is free testing, research and development, and I would love to see them implement some changes to fix this. So let's see what the problem is. I won't go into details about the tool itself. It works, the adapters are great and everything, but this was the thing that I was a bit skeptical about. And in my first original video I mentioned that you should place this without any load, so a bit further from the bearing you're trying to push, press in and then lock it, and once it's securely locked then apply pressure, and once you've tightened and installed the bearings, to first loosen it by a turn or two so there's not much preload, and then release it. However, even with that careful use and making sure that it's all clean and lubricated and everything, this did over years damage the threads, and relatively recently it started just popping out. When I'm trying to exert some pressure to install bearings, it would just slip and further damage the rod. So I'm not sure if camera can catch, but it does damage it, and I've even tried to a bit polish and fix the threads, but that wasn't very successful. However, there is a solution. So first, the problem, I hope you can see. It's great that it lets you slide it all the way you want, but see the amount of play that it has. It's very flimsy. This is a lot less flimsy, and this is just the normal thread. So this part is okay, but this one is the problematic part. So when I faced the problem, I needed to get the job done, and the tool gave up on me. Such tools are the most expensive, the ones that don't get the work done. So I had to improvise. My rod was damaged and I had to fix it before my wife gets home. Joking. Anyway, a friend of mine was coming around for a beer, and I thought, okay, great. I'll see if because a local hardware shop is near on his route, and so I thought, okay, just give me a second. And so the first thing that I did was I measured this diameter, and 7.9, 7.8. It could be an M8 thread. Our Slavic brothers, Slovenians from Unior, probably didn't use any imperial thread nonsense, hopefully. And so to double check, I use this little thing. I'm not sure what it's called in English, like a thread gauge, but 1.25 millimeters. That's the standard coarse M8 thread, and so that was my first suspect, and I gave it a try right away, and yes, it fits like a glove. All the other threads will not fit, so we can try the next size. And just a second, I'll maybe put a link to this product on Amazon, but I suggest you support your local hardware store. But here the other sizes won't fit, so this is a great thing, because you can measure the thread pitch accurately with a caliper or other means. So when I did that, then just to be on the safe side, I took an M8 bolt and gave it a try just to confirm, in case I did some wrong measuring and anything, and it looked great. So I asked my friend to get these rods with threads with M8 coarse thread, the hardest they can buy. This is 10.8 hardness, and that's pretty hard and pretty good. And so this, just a small digression, this whole set costs about $200. This thing alone costs about $100. That's how much Unior wants for this. And where is it? this set, you cannot buy this separately, but in a set with the rod, costs about $15. And one whole meter of this cost less than $2. So I went with that, and I recorded a video about how I cut it to size and clean the threads. I will put it in this video so that you can see. And yes, I did not wear all the protective equipment when I was using an angle grinder, and I did use a disc not for cutting but for grinding disc. So don't do as I do. It's not an example of how you should use the angle grinder, but the whole procedure still works, and I managed to get the results. And this is the result that I got, that I will demonstrate in a second. But first, let's quickly go through the process. So I first threaded two nuts so that I can tighten them against each other to make a sort of a lock nut for myself. And then, before cutting it, I screw this on. And let's see. So I screw this on before the cut. And now, if I want to shorten it, say by 1 centimeter, I make a cut. Then I can unscrew this, holding this, preventing it from turning with a wrench, and that could clean the threads after I've ground them down and deburred them and fixed any major issues. I am not 100% sure, so let's see. Okay, we've got a little bit, just a little bit of torque. So let's see, it's trying to move. It's trying to, this is the torque that I need to exert, so I will be holding the lower one, sort of trying to unscrew it, countering the screwing over on this side, and that should help me get the job done. But again, this is no noticeable friction, not really whatsoever. I can also easily do it by hand. So these threads are not, there is a special tool for that. It looks like this, and you put it in a tool like this and you use it, but I don't have one for the M8 thread, only for the M8-6, for the M6 threads and smaller threads. So that was not working, but this is the quick and dirty way that I've been using over the years, and it often gives decent results, and in this case it worked nicely. So I decided to make my own, the same length basically, and so I have my own tool. So instead of having this on the other end, I have two nuts that I tightened against each other, and before that I put some thread locker. I have a video on thread lockers also, just to be on the safe side, just to make sure that it stays in place. And I have some M8 washers, but they are not really necessary. So with this adjustment, I have a reliable tool, and I will demonstrate it in a bit. We'll move to the bicycle and see. So before this was quicker, but it was not reliable, and it did create damage and problems. So let's move to the bicycle and see how this works. So in this case, I will also put on one side. I'm trying not to block the camera, and so that's on one side, and on the opposite side I'm installing also another one of these on the opposite side. And before I could, this was on the other end, and I could slide this on, get it close, tighten it, and start tightening it. However, this is not a reliable tool, so I will not be using this. Instead, I will put this end, and yes, this does take more time. I can cut longer and shorter rods to accommodate for different projects, but this takes a few seconds more, and I could have bought another one of these with the rods so they can spin them both at the same time, perhaps save myself the time. But for now, if I want to tighten it, I will need to hold this in place with a 13mm wrench on the opposite side, and holding against the outer lock nut, because I want to keep pressing lock nuts against each other, not to to unscrew it. So I'm keeping it against the outer lock nut, and it does take more time, it's less practical, and I did put some thread locker, but still I don't want to risk by holding it against the inner lock nut, just in case. So this would be the procedure for installing this bottom bracket. It's now already installed, it worked okay, and now to release it, then I need to put the tool against the inner one, because now I have the torque in the opposite direction, and I need to unscrew this. So a more elegant solution would be for Unior to make this set with two of these. It's not as fast, but this is not reliable, it's not a good design. It's a good idea, but it's some flimsy, poor preload, and yes, it does connect almost around the whole circle, but it's not very deep, and they cannot put a lot of preload because you need to make some way to make sure that it's centered on the threads when you're tightening, and there's no way to do that reliably. Maybe with some small strength spring to preload it, like a semi-locked, and then to lock it to the full torque, but it would be complicated and expensive. It already costs $100 and it's useless. So not a good idea, just two of these, or machine yourself on some hard machine tool steel, a thing like this that is about 1.5 centimeters thick, or maybe thicker, and put some levers on it and either screw them on or weld them or whatever, and you have a tool. These presses that come with the tool are great. I love them, and the set comes with all the sizes that you are likely to need with a bicycle, or in a bicycle shops with different bicycles, but this is garbage, unfortunately, and I hope that Unior will take this into consideration and fix their tool so that everyone is happier, hopefully. That would make the whole set cheaper, more durable and more reliable, but a bit slower to work with. This was super fast, but it didn't last nearly as long as I would expect good quality tools to last. So that's the whole video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in some other video. Again, don't do what I did with the angle grinder. It's not a demonstration of how to use an angle grinder, it's just a demonstration of the principle and a quick hack at the end. Dobar dan. At the end of a very long day and in extreme heat. So cheers.